Good evening, everybody. It is about 5:15. I have done a boring day of writing reports under lockdown and I'm slowly going crazy. So I'm having a break now, coming out and gonna continue on with Dotty, poking her rear end. That panel has to come out. What I've done so far is disconnected all of the rear lights and fed the loom back through that center panel, so that's all just dangling there. It has got so many lashed up bodges in it to do with the tow bar electrics that when it all goes back together I'm gonna have to probably chop a lot of that out, or maybe leave it for the new owner to do, because I'm sure he'll love that bit. Yeah, lots of scotch locks, horrible things. May need to repair some wires. There's a cracked wire there as well. Anyway, next job is to get the tail lights off and the badge bar. Badge bar has been bonded on in a couple of places, I think, so that might be interesting. So yeah, undo the tail light assemblies, get the badge bar off, and then really it's chopping time. That went much better than expected. The rear of the car can be a problem spot on these. Usually they leak around the tail light, which means that all of the fixings rot out, which means you can't undo the nuts and you have to chop them off. Whereas both sides, everything came off easy. And same with the badge bar. These are like seriously small and just riveted aluminium studs on the back of the badge bar, and quite often they break and shear off. One sheared there, but that wasn't me, that's whoever put it on. This is not the right badge bar for this kind of car, I think. I don't know, it might be. I'm not super familiar with the Series 1.5 cars. Series 1 would have had just little short badge bar this end telling you that it was, or what specific model. On that end it would have just said Rover. So the Series 2 cars always had a full width badge bar like that, so quite what a Series 1.5 should have had, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's what has been removed, and I don't know that that's going back on. It might be a different one. It might go Series 1. Anyway, I'll put the fixings back on there and stop chatting. Next thing to do really is chop the back of the car off. There's a couple of points really on this. They never fit great, so it's always worth, before you chop it out, actually having a look at how it fits to start with. The most important bits to get right are the alignment of really this bit here. That bit kind of gets hidden by the badge bar. That bit there, don't worry about that. That gets hidden by the light, obviously. But you can see how the aperture for the light is offset relative to these nice lines here, and it's always like that. Same on this side. You've got this bit fitting kind of nicely, but a big step in the door, you know, so it's in the panel there, those bits join. I'm gonna get a saw and cut as close to that as possible all the way around, and up here I'm gonna have to remind myself how it's attached in. I think it's just, yeah, you can just see them there, some spot welds, so I'll want to cut through there, sand those off, and I think that might be seam welded, I'm not sure. I'll get the wire brush and the drill, clean that off and see what it looks like. The other thing I've done, and I actually did this first, I just didn't show you. I've drawn on here lines to show the gap between the tailgate and the tops of the wings. Once this is cut out, these will want to pull in probably. So both sides I've just drawn a line and then measured with a steel rule, 3mm this side, 5mm that side. It just means that I can put it back in again and know it's all in the right place. that's the majority of the hacking done. I've cleaned up that lower lip, and very happy to find that most of it is still there. A lot of the time water gets in there and blows it apart, and although it looks nice from the top, once you've unpicked the lamp panel you'll find this bit actually missing. So that's all good. These bits I've cleaned up nicely. There's a bit of grot down here that will need to be chopped out. You've got a number of components coming together in the same place. In the back of the car you have the rear, they're not really longitudinal rails or anything like that because they're not under the floor. This is all part of the crash structure, so it has these intentionally, well, not intentionally deformable, but they're points at which the rear will start to collapse to absorb energy. And then this is your bumper mount with a big like 90-degree bracket in there, and the outer wing skin comes around and sits on top, and then the rear panel welds on, and there should be just a bead of weld down here, but there's a bit of crustiness in here which I'll have to excavate, which is a shame because it all looked really nice and solid. Up here the reason I've stopped hacking away is I want to go and look at another lamp panel and remind myself how it all sits together. There's evidence of brazing in there, and that will be a pain to weld around. Same really on this side. Cleaned these bits up. Tiny bit of grot there, but nothing bad. In fact, it's better than the other side. And then those are all cleaned up, and I haven't bothered really attacking that area yet. We'll need a patch in there. So I'm going to go grab a rear panel now and offer it up to the car and just see how it wants to fit. Here we have new versus old panels. Original Austin Rover. It has the hole in the middle here, which a Series 1, 1.5 I don't think has, but other than that they're identical. The massive benefit of that one being it doesn't have all these stupid holes for a tow bar in it, although it has some very minor surface rust. That'll all just rub off and get primed and finished. Up here you can kind of see how the panel finishes and what I need to weld onto back on the car. So let's go and offer it up now and see what it looks like. We have, well, kind of thrown it in there, balanced in, just 3 clamps at the moment. I'm just doing this so that I can go find my pen. There's my pen, and mark roughly where it is I've got metal and where I don't, and then I can work out how it's going to fit. Originally I think this will sit on top of that. It has to, that's good. That sits on top of that, and I'll have to build a new lip for the tailgate seal just between there and there. That's alright. That all wants to go in or backwards or do something. I think that's been crushed down, so that just needs to come up. This end, much the same really. That could even tuck under there probably. In fact, that's probably what it's meant to do. If I do that, then I know what metal I've got to work with. I'm gonna go and have a cup of tea, celebratory cup of tea, because although that hasn't taken very long and it's not particularly difficult, it's always kind of cool because it feels like you've done a massive piece of work. Especially when you close that. Let's see what these, whether it did actually move, just for future reference, if anyone's interested. And that's still bang on 3mm. That's opened up. Yeah, see, that's more like 6 or 7. So that wing's gone boing and popped out a bit. It's no big deal. hasn't moved a lot, and actually the bigger the gap the better. SD1s, like they never fit brilliantly well. The tailgate is probably a bit too far back on this side, and it's overhanging the back of the car, but even when you've got everything perfectly aligned, they never quite fit. Series 2 tailgates. Don't know why, it's really annoying. Right, yeah, cup of tea time. Back from my tea break. I'm just gonna carry on chopping and cleaning, really. Just letting the dust settle a bit, because the next thing I want to do is hydrate 80 all the bits of rust I've just uncovered there. Well, not uncovered, but I've got bits like that which I've attacked with the Dremel to get it out and break the surface. Then I'll go around and de-rust the rest of it. I've had to chop out quite a lot of that bit because that corner was completely rotten, so that will all need to be treated as well, and then that could be hammered back. Those bits can be seam welded together, and then I could build a patch to go on the back. I have found that these corners are actually brazed. You can see some goldy colour in there. Same on this side. I've tried to clean it out as best I can because the welder won't want to weld through the braze. Yeah, I'm going to go find a paintbrush and start treating those bits. I might actually start poking around the boot floor a bit more. My initial plan was not to do that for the risk that I could distort the boot floor, and I don't want to do that. But with the rear lamp panel out of the way, it's certainly a lot easier to get to everything. And because I've got reference measurements on the tailgate, I don't think these parts are going to move to some position that I can't restore them. So I might clear that out now. Actually, no, I'm going to paint the Hydrate 80 on. Then while that's drying, I'll have a clean up in here and see if I can find all of the rust that needs to come out, and maybe make some chops into it, because it'll be a lot easier to get access to weld it nicely without the rear panel on there. Kind of mixed news, really. Certainly going to require a sizable patch here, but this is not going to be a super duper let's make it perfect restoration job. It'll be big whacking plate in there, and anywhere where there's a kind of detail line I'll just hammer it flat. I might be able to get away without ruining it too much. What's that? That looks suspicious. Sorry, just talking out loud. In this corner, it's as I hoped. All of that is good metal. I just had to smash that bit down because it had been bent upwards. Same again here. There was something funny going on in this corner. It's all good metal, which is a relief. it just had a few funny shaped profiles to it, and it's because it was all dented from underneath. What's really good is that seam is still there, so once I've sanded off the frilly bit of the old wing, the boot floor is really good. So I'll need one little repair in there, hopefully, and that's about it for this side. That's good, that's good. That bracket can stay. It was for the tow bar, but I'm not going to be chopping that out. This filler all the way around it, God knows why. That actually feels quite solid from underneath. So yeah, one patch there. This corner I was worried about, but that's all good metal. So really happy with that. Yes, I'll have to put some localized patches there. This bit I still I think I'll probably cut that bit out and then just plate it. But other than that, boot floor is really good, and I've got some new drain plug things to go in here. They're in the cupboard in the other part of the workshop. So while I'm out here, I might as well just chop that bit out with the saw, and then I think I'm going to call it a day, because I've probably been out here a couple of hours now, and there isn't really a lot more I can usefully achieve. I will just grab a can of zinc weld through primer, which will have to go on this return, but I might as well do it now. Just stops any flash rust or anything silly going on. But yeah, really not that far away from, you know, I could weld the rear panel on. I reckon if you don't find loads of rust, you could probably do a rear panel in 3 hours, from chopping it out to welding the new one in and grinding it all down. Obviously I found a bit of rust and I'm leaving it off for the moment so I can do these bits, but really it looks like a lot of work, but it actually isn't, and it's quite therapeutic. Okay, gonna chop that bit out now. That's a big chunk of shitty metal chopped out, which is good. Weight saving too, because that bracket for reinforcing the tow bar was monster heavy. Yeah, so not the most glamorous of jobs to do. I really can't be bothered, but what it actually needs is to take all of that sound deadening stuff off. I hate it. It really is a bitch. But got to be done. I won't bother recording that, and I'll probably do it next time, because right now I'm going to go in and have some dinner, I think. This might make it as one video. Oh, cock. Right. Gonna need another patch in there, I think. Sadly. I wish I hadn't hit that with a hammer now. I could have lied to you. I could have just rubbed it down, painted it and made it look like it was solid metal. But it ain't, so it'll have to come out.